Hi everyone, my name is Tylen Bloss, and this video is about 4 years late. Now, I've read and watched about how my first video should not be an introduction video, but like my own insecurities about doing all of this, we're going to ignore that for now. I'm the type of person that has lots of ideas that I become really passionate about, but that I constantly fail to execute, or I procrastinate so long that I move on to something else. Now, my amazing partner has had to put up with so much of my inconsistencies that I at least owe it to her and to myself to follow through with something, and that something is this video. 4 years ago, I bought a camera and mic to start vlogging, specifically about veganism and how I could contribute to perpetuating that lifestyle in the world, and that didn't really work out. As I became less attached to the identity of being a vegan, I started to explore the reasons why I was even one to begin with. Like, what was the thing that compelled me to make that decision? However, I've been feeling sort of lost lately, as if I have no identity. I used to pride myself in the labels of a political party, a lifestyle, a religion, and I'd find comfort in them. Democrat, vegan, Christian. And I just wanted to talk about where I find myself within each of these realms. When it comes to politics, I consider myself an anomaly. I like to think of myself as a progressive, but I was raised Republican and consider myself one even until after Obama was elected in 2008. And most of my friends and family are still Republican. They voted for Trump and they plan on doing it again. However, I have refused to dehumanize them in the same way in which I've seen throughout various media. I do not think people who voted for Trump to be deplorables, but people who were desperate for change and they couldn't find that in the other option. I'm always eager and willing to discuss what others might perceive as problems or issues about my political beliefs. I will often watch or read articles from conservative media outlets, especially when given to me by my friends, and I will always praise appropriately if I find a shared belief. And all too often, I think we're afraid to do that with the people that we oppose, and that's a huge problem. I think it's incredibly important to maintain ongoing relationships with those that we disagree with because we all share suffering in common. And while we might have different solutions for mitigating suffering in the world, I think that's where the conversation should always begin, is with that. Now, within the vegan community, I've lost more friends than I've gained. Without going into specifics, there's kind of been an ongoing debate within the community over vegan products that had to be tested on animals in order to get commercial certification, and whether or not we should support these products. However, these products, I believe, will profoundly reduce the amount of cruelty and suffering in the world for the animals. And I've been labeled as an apologist and a hypocrite because of my beliefs surrounding what I can sum up as a classic trolley problem, in which that I've made ethical compromises in favor of mitigating more animal suffering overall. And for those of you who may not know, there kind of exists a holy trinity of sorts within veganism: health, animals, and the environment. And every vegan has a why as to why they're vegan, and it can change. Mine has. Mine began with personal health. Then it moved on to animal rights, but now it's settled on the environment. I'm what some would call climate vegan. Now, while the other two parts of the Trinity are just as important to me, the well-being of our planet has taken an enormous precedent for me and has become a priority of mine. My mind is so focused on the bigger picture of the environmental impact of animal agriculture that I will often be mercilessly pragmatic simply out of a desperate need for our society to change in some way. And to avoid the inevitable and ongoing debate with my vegan friends who might be watching this or probably going to watch this, I'm willing to make that trade every single time, and I'm willing to sacrifice my own vegan label along with that belief. I have so much fear and anxiety surrounding the future of our planet and what it's going to look like for my children that I will take every inch of progress I can get. And as for religion, the biggest irony is that I've found a church that I've fallen in love with. even as a self-professed aspiring atheist. And I think it's quite odd to have found what I consider to be my church, after being hurt and manipulated by churches for the better half of my life. I've never been in a church that seems to be so integrated in serving its surrounding community. And while I no longer believe in a loving being or God, I've found a shared belief of compassion and empathy that I think is being demonstrated in real work and action. It's come out of nowhere. I mean, for me, essentially after carrying a misanthropic worldview for the past 5 or so years, there's so much suffering in this world that it crushes me psychologically if I ever dwell on it too much. And while I don't sing or pray or participate in communion, I don't feel like the theological outsider that I am, and it gives me a great sense of hope. So this is where I exist in the world, kind of wandering without feeling like I have a home, and I know it's naive to think that any of these labels or identities would ever completely define who I am, but perhaps that's the purpose of this human experience, that it demands that we adapt to each other, no matter how separated or different or diverse, and realize that we're all in this together. And that is what this channel will be about, how we find ourselves wandering throughout life together. Thanks for watching, but before you go, I want to let you know that I do stream every Tuesday and Thursday on Twitch. A link to that will be in the description below. Feel free to follow if you want to hang out and talk there. Until next time, thanks for watching and take care.